Hi there, welcome to our Week 8 version of our election series. I hope you enjoyed the video series so far. If you've missed any along the way, you can always go back and pick them up as you need. Thanks again for watching, for your attention. Now in this Week 8, we're going to be looking at the second week of our negative gearing topic. It's quite important certainly to our business here and to a lot of our clients out there in investor land. So Stephen, welcome.
Thank you, Mike.
Stephen, let's talk about negative gearing. Now, last week, of course, we covered what it is, how it works, and so on.
Yep.
But this particular week, we want to try and drill in a little bit deeper.
Yep.
So, where should we start there?
Well, good question, Mark. First off, my take on it so far is hands off negative gearing, leave it alone. The proposed changes are a disincentive to property investors. Now, if you have a disincentive to property investors who currently make up 1/3 of the property market, that is going to lead to an acute rental shortage.
So regardless if it's old houses or new houses,
the existing investors, their conditions will be quarantined. So the way they have it at the moment, that shouldn't change. But any new investors coming in, so the new supply to the market, there'll be a big disincentive.
Okay.
And then I believe from that will create a shortage of housing for people that are renting. Now the problem is that at the same time that's going on, as a result of the Royal Commission, we now have the banks being extremely difficult to borrow money from. They're using what they call a benchmark rate, which is currently at 7.25%.
7.25.
Yeah, that means, current variable rates at the moment are under 4%. So what the banks are assessing is that a new applicant comes in, they're saying, well, if our rate was 7.25%, could somebody afford that? Not the current 4% they'll actually be paying. And so therefore many people are automatically disqualified. So typically first-time buyers won't meet that 7.25% benchmark and unable to buy. Now, if they don't buy, that leads them into the rental market, in a market that supply has already been curtailed.
Okay. So you've just to summarise a few points there. You've got a dropping in the demand for new homes, investment properties, because it's not as attractive anymore.
That's right.
You've got
less supply in the market.
Less supply.
Yep.
And plus, it's harder and harder post-Royal Commission to borrow the money.
Yep.
In fact, we've found in the last little while that even the folk who've got loans currently, if they had to requalify for them, might struggle, right?
They would, yes, in some cases.
And that's probably across Australia we're seeing that.
Yep.
And then, of course, we've got a situation where people are forced into more and more into the rental market,
Exactly.
hence rents will increase.
The rents will increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where does that leave us then?
Well, then that's going to create a whole new set of problems. Is that where are people going to live? Who's going to provide the rental property? Now, if we take a step back into history, and for some of our listeners that are old enough may remember, under a Labor government, in 1985, they introduced, or rather, they took out the existing negative gearing rules. They changed the rules.
What did I tell you?
This is Hawke and Keating.
There's Hawke and Keating, Prime Minister and the Treasurer. Now, a short 18 months later, as a result of rents soaring in Sydney, like supply being non-existent, the government felt they have no other option but to return negative gearing back to the status quo. Now, maybe the current Labor government are forgetful of the past, but that was a direct result. We saw rents soaring, and I believe we'll see exactly the same thing happen again if there's a change, and changes means that investors, new investors, have a disincentive to put their money into the property market.
So, the Labor opposition at the moment are, this is of course their proposal, but where would this housing come from? If you took away that 1/3 of the market known as investors, who else would actually would provide the housing for the population, which of course the population seems to be growing?
Well, ultimately it'd be taxpayers. The government would provide public housing.
They call this social housing.
They call it social housing.
Now, is it fair to say, does social housing work in Russia?
It doesn't work anywhere in the world.
So, working in Australia arguably going to be more of a challenge.
Someone's going to have to pay for it. We really don't want to go there. I believe the system works perfectly at the moment.
All right.
Despite its flaws, it's working well at the moment.
Okay. Well, I guess, wrapping up, that's certainly our take as MacArthur Group, and Stephen certainly on the concept of negative gearing. It was the big ticket item this election. Of course, this Saturday, if you haven't already done so, you'll be voting at your local kindergarten or primary school. Good luck with the sausage sizzle. Make sure your vote counts, of course. And best wishes, hope your team wins. Now, next week, of course, we will have a wrap-up discussion on how the whole program come about, and I hope you're enjoying these videos. We're trying to get our information out to our clients, and if you're enjoying it, please pass it on to your friends. Thanks for your time. Keep watching. Bye-bye.
And may the best party win.
This cut is fresh.